Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, esteemed delegates, distinguished speakers, and HR professionals from every corner of the globe. Today, we stand on virtual crossroads of innovation and human connection. Wow, what a journey it has been for the last 11 months when Agile People Ops plan to launch People Ops Pulse 2023 conference. As I speak, the conference has attracted too many HR and people ops professionals from all over the world, with close to 800 participants spanning from 65 incredible countries. I am awed by the sheer power of technology that bridges vast oceans and diverse cultures, bringing us together under the banner of human resources. It would be wonderful if you all could enter your full names along with the country from where you all are joining in the chat box. Would love to see the diversity that we have here today. In a world where business dynamics change at the blink of an eye, it is the people, the human essence that remains a company's true compass. HR is not just a department, it's the heartbeat of an organization. Our role stretches far beyond administration. It's about being the architects of workplaces that foster creativity, inclusion, and growth. This conference embodies the very spirit of Agile People Ops, collaborative, forward thinking, and global. People Ops Pulse 2023 theme is based on ACE, acronym for Agility, Coaching, and Experience. When I say experience, I mean employee experience. With participants from such a diverse range of cultures and experiences, the depth of knowledge and perspectives in this virtual room is truly unparalleled. As I welcome you all for this incredible journey, I would like to request each of you to participate through chat or asking questions in the questions tab. You also have an option to network with other members on the conference platform, and our wonderful support team is happy to answer any questions you might have. As most of you are aware, today is World Mental Health Day, and what a way to start our conference with the topic Holistic Wellbeing for a Healthy Workforce. Let's welcome our first speaker, Deepa Mahesh, who is the founder and CEO of Poorna Wellbeing. She is an ICF life and leadership coach and an arts based leadership development facilitator. Welcome, Deepa. The stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you and welcome all of you to this wonderful conference. So, just to set the agenda for the conference, we're going to cover these four perspectives: the need for well-being, a perspective to holistic well-being from the ancient Indian wisdom, introducing the paradigm of success with well-being, and some pointers I want to leave you with. How can you assess your own holistic well-being? Not just you, but when you go back, you could also assess your team members and your employees if you're working in organizations. So, if you have any questions or if you want to write something in comment to what I'm speaking, please use the chat button, the chat box, and I would be happy to answer and take them on. So, as Mariana has talked about it, today is World Mental Health Day, and the theme for this 2023 is mental health is a universal human right. So, what does it really mean? WHO has been really working and it continues to work with its partners to ensure that mental health is accessible, it's valued, it's promoted, and it's protected. And it's accessible to each and everyone. But you know what? You can see that 1 in 8 people globally are living with some mental health conditions. And that's the reason they are striving to really make it a universal human right. Now, when I say this, let me just introduce you to the mental health spectrum. So, the spectrum is from healthy. So, who is healthy? Healthy is somebody who does not have any mental health issue, to someone who is coping. So coping is they are facing some significant issues or risks to mental health, but they're not in difficulty. So it may be sometimes that we have lost a family member or there is a current financial difficulty, but I'll cope with it and soon get out of it. The third part of the spectrum is struggling. Now, struggling are those who are really dealing with major life challenges or prolonged illnesses, and they are prone to becoming unwell. And finally, the last in the spectrum is those who are unwell. And when I'm saying unwell, it's basically from the perspective of mental health. Now, why am I talking about it? About this? Not just because it is mental health, World Mental Health Day, but there is a cause of concern, especially when you bring this to organizations. And we're all here, we are from the HR fraternity, we are from organizations. I want to give you this perspective using my own example. So, when I was working, till about 2013, 2013, I was working. I held many positions. I was in the HR department. My last stint was as the head of OD, and I was working for a large Indian conglomerate, and it was a great job, great respect, and everything. Now, I was a people manager. I had people reporting into me. I was a taskmaster, perfectionist to the core. I would burn the midnight oil, and honestly, I was close to a burnout. I would be irritated and angry at home, and I can't show it at work. So, where does it go? It goes to home. So, I was also having huge feelings of I'm not good enough. Maybe others are better than me. I'm not as good. Now, I'm going to pause here and ask you, you listening to me, do you think that I was normal, or where would you think I am in this mental health spectrum? If you could just write on chat. Yeah, hello all. No, where do you think I would be? Would I be healthy? Would I be coping? Would I be struggling? Would I be unwell? Coping, okay. Princess says coping. Yeah, and while you came, all of you, your answers come. So in 2013, I was close to a burnout, and there were several other reasons why I quit my work. But one of the reason was I was close to burnout, and honestly, it was more than coping. So from the exterior, you can't make out. Yeah, struggling, unwell. Look at the range. From the external, neither I could make out, nor my manager could make out, nor my family could make out. Everything was perfect. I was smiling, would deliver results. I was a high achiever, getting awards and rewards for the work I did. But I was actually struggling, close to unwell, and I could not take it anymore. So, this could be happening with few of you sitting there, or it could be happening to your team members that people smile and laugh, they come to office, you may not even know about it. And hence the struggle with mental health is so grave. And I would want to rewind, and the question here is who decides, who affirms? Honestly, I could not decide, nor could my manager. It's very hard to decide. So if you're listening here, please look at it. Please take a moment to pause and ask yourself, where are you in the spectrum at this point in time? Going further, let's rewind. Let's look at the time when well-being became a buzzword, especially during the pandemic. You know, I still remember I was called by many organizations to conduct well-being workshops. And when I did the well-being workshops, I observed a few trends. Okay, and I've just listed them down for you. First one is from the employees chasing goals, one after the other. There came a moment of pause from the busyness to having to pause, having to really look at what's happening. Everything is shut, having to be with your family, choosing rest. They were all forced to look inside. That was the first trend I saw. Second, there was a complete blur of boundaries. So what would happen is the work came home, and home became another office. So the office would be open for longer hours, and that would cause a lot of confusion, anxiety, and burnout. Third, huge job insecurity was looming everywhere. Will I have my job? Will I lose my job? What do I have to do? But I'm not able to do it. And all of that caused a lot of anxiety, panic. A lot of people became unwell mentally. Fourth, fear of death. Not just yours, because nobody knew what was happening. People were dying around, around in the news every day, the count of who died where. There was huge fear of death. Fifth, devoid of social connections. Unfortunately, we have never seen something like this. There was looming uncertainty everywhere. You don't know what is going to happen, whether I'm going to live, whether my parents and kith and kin are going to live. And here, another very important thing got challenged was the leader's emotional strength. You know, things were shut, but leaders had to perform, business had to run. How many times can you say business cannot? Business is shut. Now, what would happen is I experienced leaders throwing tantrums because their emotional and mental health was also at stake. After all, leaders are human beings, they're not different than other employees. And that was an emotional test. It was a test of emotional strength, resilience. It was also a test of how much of inner work people had done on themselves. Because the truth on mental health would be coming out very soon, and employees were at the receiving end of all of this. So there was a need to look at well-being holistically. What was holistic well-being? What is well-being? Everybody started asking, what is really holistic? How do you even decipher what is holistic? But to do that, first let's look at what is well-being. Yeah. And honestly, it's a very simple definition. Well-being is the experience of health, happiness, prosperity in the core of your being. Actually, let's leave all the jargons aside, all the definitions that probably you would have known about well-being. Honestly, it's a very deep-seated feeling. I'm just going to invite you right now to ask yourself, you know, nobody's going to look at you. You don't even need to write on chat, in chat. Am I really happy? And pop will come and answer. Yeah. You say maybe, no, not actually, very happy, whatever is the answer. That is a truthful answer of well being. Am I really happy inside me, core of my being? Am I happy? Am I feeling healthy? Yeah. And this will not come just because you have a great job or you have great money, or it doesn't come only from pursuits. This will come even when you don't do anything. It's a very core feeling. It's in the core of your essence, I would call it. And that core feeling really is a complete experience of how well-being, how much of well-being you feel inside. Now, it was very important for employees. At that time, I was servicing employees because I do go to organizations, I do corporate workshops, and I was also doing my one on one coaching work with leaders, and I was observing the same trend. People were not happy, but they did not know why they were not happy. And for each one, the contributory factors were very different. It was not the same reason. So, how do you know what is the reason because of which you're not happy? So that you can restore it and feel happy, irrespective of what is going on outside. And that's when I dipped into the holistic nature of a human being. What is the nature of a human being? What is the nature of well being? What is the nature of happiness per se? And I went into the ancient Indian wisdom perspective. I went into the ancient Indian texts. And what did I discover? I discovered that the way human being is defined is very definite. It is not expanded. What do you say, when you meet your employee, when you meet your colleague, or when you look at yourself, you'll say, I'll say I'm Deepa, I have this body, I have a role, I have a family, And all that I know about me, I'll define it. It's very defined. But when you look at well-being and happiness, haven't you seen where people have all of this? They have money, they have a family, they have everything, but they're not happy. Maybe I or you may be feeling the same. Yeah. So why does that happen? It happens because really human beings cannot be just defined by roles or just what you see you are. There are different levels, or there's a deeper understanding of a human being that's needed. And what I discovered is a human being has a five-fold perspective, five-fold or five-layered perspective. And I'm just going to share it from the ancient Indian text perspective. So it says that human being is not just a psychological entity, it's a psycho spiritual entity. And there are five levels. The first level is a physical body that you see. You see, I have a body. I have worn a sari. I've added some accessories to myself. I've worn a spectacle. Whatever you see of me, I have brown complexion. All of that. There is another level, and that level. So the outermost level is the physical body that you see, and then there are deeper layers. The inner next layer is your breath body, which is your vital body, which is your the body which you use to breathe to regulate all your functions, whether your stomach is okay, whether your breath is okay, whether your heart is okay. It really regulates your functioning of the body. So physical body, breath body go very closely together. The third is the emotional body. Don't you say today I'm depressed? Very casually, loosely, people do say I'm depressed, or I'm scared, or I say I'm happy, I'm elated. I feel surprised that my partner gifted me this. I never expected it. So those are the emotional body that we are talking about. Sometimes the physical body may be absolutely perfect, but the emotional body may not be okay, because I may be having this core fear inside me that probably I'm not good enough. I don't think I can do it. I have this fear that, I will fail in my next assignment and I will lose my job. And this money is very important to me, to take back home and take care of my children or my family. So that is the emotional body. The fourth is the intellectual body or the thoughts body. Now, today you see so many of us are troubled with huge number of thoughts, can't control our thoughts. That's coming from the intellectual body. And the fifth body is the bliss body. That is the body which looks for purpose. The body that says that I want to do something big. I want to leave a legacy. I'm not happy just doing this role. It's a body that seeks more than just whatever you're doing in life. So if the human being is all of these layers, yeah, then how is it that you can just look at the person outside and say this person is well or not? Who can decide the wellness of your being? Only I can decide for myself, or you can decide for yourself. Nobody outside can really decide for yourself. And really, the human being is so complex that a breakdown in one body will lead to a breakdown in the others. It is very, very complex, and it is multi-layered. But do you think that employees would understand the importance of holistic well-being without a context? They'll say it is just too much for me to think all of this. It's a lot. I don't want to think so much. Yeah. Do you think that you would think about yourself like this? Yeah, I would love to hear on chat. In fact, I want to share why did this thought even come to me about the context. It came because when I would talk to the HR leaders about well-being. So when the HR leaders would come to me and say, I want to do a well-being workshop, and when I would ask them deeper questions, they would say it's one off, it's a one workshop, so that there is well-being. But well-being, unfortunately, is a pursuit. Because today you could have a breakdown in the physical body, tomorrow you could have a breakdown in the emotional body. It's a complex structure. So it's a continuous pursuit. And the organization would not understand it, or the HR leader would not understand it. The only reason is they are not tuned to think like that. So well-being was treated as a nice concept, but was it really paid deep attention to? No, because the context is missing. And the key context, the key question that they would ask is, what's in it for me? Why should I do a well-being workshop? Because I'm paying you. Why should I do a well-being workshop? And that was extremely a fair ask from the HR team. So, what is the context? The context is success with well-being. Yeah, just well-being will not cut ice. Just well-being is not enough for the employee's perspective, and this I'm talking about from the organization's perspective. Just well-being is not enough. Now, what if well-being is introduced in the context of success and performance? Success is important right from the individual contributor all the way to the business unit head or the leader sitting there in the helm of affairs. Yeah. Now imagine that your employee has a breakdown in their body and there is an illness because of which they are away from their task or their job for 10 days. Don't you think the productivity will go down? Don't you think it will affect their work and their output? Even when they come back after their illness, it is going to demand them to slow down first before they pick up normal pace. Or imagine that you are unable to rest because your mind is too occupied with so many thoughts. You wake up feeling not refreshed. You feel uh, not okay in your mind. What would happen? Your thoughts would be cluttered. You cannot think. And if you, as a business head, have to make an important decision, you will not be able to make because your mind is too full. Yeah. Now, imagine that you are experiencing too many emotions like fear, self doubt, anxiety. You're not stable in your emotional space. You're not grounded. All your actions will be very, very scattered. So, without well being, success is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Performance, peak and optimum performance is impossible. It is not possible. Yeah. And when peak performance, now go back to the spectrum where I talked about healthy, coping, struggling, and unhealthy or unwell. With peak performance, and it has to come only when you're well. When you're unwell, peak performance and peak success is not possible. When you're coping, it's possible, but what you would have to do is to put a lot of effort. You have to burn the midnight oil, etc. So at some point of time, it can lead to a breakdown, or a burnout. When you're struggling, peak performance and success is very, very difficult. And yet you will do it because you will not allow yourself to fail. But it's very, very, very difficult. So, success in the context of well being and mental health is absolutely a given. It's very, very important. Yeah. Now, what can obstruct success? I just want to, take you to this. You may have heard about this formula where it says that performance or success is equal to potential minus interference. Now, what's your potential? When you join an organization, you've been hired for a role. You have been hired because you have the skills needed to perform in the current role, and you have the potential to perform the next role also. So you have the potential. But your full performance or your full potential to be unleashed, there needs to be a free flow of well being. Okay, your energy must be extremely clear. If your energy is not clear, you will not be able to perform. Yeah. So that is where the aspect of interference comes. Now, what are the interference? Illness is an interference. Cluttered thought is an interference. Chaotic living. I don't have any rhythm. I wake up, go to office, and then come back, sleep. And then if I feel low, I just go to the bar, or I just call a few friends and just hang around. So this kind of a living without, it's called chaotic living, and without any routines, that's an interference. Too many thoughts, that's an interference. Not clear of why I wake up every day and why I do what I do. Not having a purpose, that's an interference. So all of these interferences reduce from your potential to perform, and your performance will be low. So if any of you are connecting and you're saying that, and you're telling yourself that I was so good in what I was doing, yeah, but why is it that I am not able to perform now? It could be because of one of this. It could be because you're experiencing an emotional imbalance. You're too critical about yourself, too many negative thoughts, negative emotions, too much of anxiety. You are not able to balance your emotions. Or you have a fixed mindset. You have too many limiting beliefs, which tell you you're not good, you can't do this, don't take on too much, you will fail. And keep thinking, what if this will happen? What if that will happen? Overthinking. And these thoughts may not be true, they may be erroneous, may not be true also. But then you get fixated on that. This could be one of the interference because of which your potential is not unleashed. Or could be you're experiencing illness and exhaustion. Sometimes you're experiencing exhaustion, but you're not aware. And you're telling yourself, I'll just pull on. So what happens is there is no energy, there is no vitality. You're just pulling on for the sake of it. And that could finally, if not addressed, lead to ill health. And you could be experiencing illness as well. Or there could be skin conditions or other conditions of the heart, of the liver, of the stomach, which could be indicating to you that you are actually leading to an unwell zone. And when you're unwell, you cannot be at peak performance. That's an interference. Fourth could be purposeless execution. You know, leading life without any vision. I just come, I do my work, I go, I get my money, I eat, I sleep. What's the purpose for which, I'm here? You see, many industrialists, everybody runs a business because they have a purpose. I have come here today to present to all of you because I have a purpose. For me, my purpose is to uplift the consciousness of humankind to well being and to knowing themselves deeply, to self mastery. And by presenting this, I know that it's a part of my purpose. If I didn't know and I just came here, there will be no life in my presentation. I would not enjoy it. So that can be an interference. Fifth could be unclear decision making. I have no anchor, I depend on somebody else to take my decision. I ask them, what do I do? And I'm not very clear, why should I take this decision? That is another interference. So I don't trust myself. Another interference is living without any daily routines, very chaotic. I don't know what I'm going to do next moment. And this chaos can really make you feel very thrown, not grounded. Now, all of these interferences, now when I'm telling you, it might make sense to you, but we don't recognize it. And you know why we don't recognize it? It is because success results are above the iceberg. Now, we all know that in the iceberg, 10% is visible outside the waterline, but 90% is below the waterline. And that 90% is the place where there are interferences. We are not aware of those interferences. Those interferences are a part of life, but they go unnoticed because they're about below the iceberg. And what do we need to do is to really become conscious of what's below the iceberg so that it can come up. We eliminate the interferences so that my performance and success is equal to the potential that I've come with. And when you look at what is your interference, you will get to know what is the cause of your unhappiness. So, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? You need to break this cycle of interferences. And when you break the cycle of interferences, what happens is your energy improves. You feel more energetic. And when you feel more energetic, what happens is success automatically comes to you. When you're energized, when you're really energetic, you're able to think faster, you're able to be vibrant, you're able to be sharp, you're able to be mindful. And what happens is, in that space, you are able to really, really vibrate at a different frequency, just like the movement here. So, where do you start? Where do you begin? Where do you really begin? And I, have a beginning point for you. I want to share that. Yeah. Now, there's so many of you who are logging in here. If you just have a paper and a book next to you, and if you're taking notes, I'm going to show you a kind of a checklist to really assess how much of well-being you have in each parameter or each layer of yourself. Let's look at this. What are some of the parameters of well-being of your body and vitality? Okay, now the scale is, do I feel rested after a full night's sleep? Not at all, moderate, or always. So the range is 1 to 3. So these are a few parameters that you could use to see whether you have the well-being in your body or not. So I make healthy food choices, I practice a fitness routine, I'm aware of my aches, pains, and discomfort in the body. I feel positive about how my body looks and functions. I experience being in a state of energetic vitality, and my body has a strong digestion capacity or ability. Now, if you are in the lower end of the spectrum here, if you've given lower scores here, then what happens is the well-being of your body, the well-being in your body and vitality is not good. And if it's at the higher level, then definitely you just have to maintain and manage whatever you're doing. And this is how you could sustain the well-being of your body. Any questions, please ask me on chat. So these are a few parameters, from, thank you. Yeah, these are a few parameters that you could use to really see how much of well-being that you experience in the body. Now, well-being of your emotions. I am aware of my emotions most times. I do not feel stressed or anxious frequently. I feel emotionally balanced in all situations. I do not have addictive emotional behaviors. I can express my emotions with ease. I let go negative emotional patterns as a routine. I can stop my negative emotional patterns with ease. These are some of the parameters. And again, if you're on the higher end of the spectrum, then you're good. You just need to sustain your efforts. But if you have rated 1 in all of these or towards the lower end, then it needs urgent and immediate attention. Please, please, please do not ignore the well being of your emotions. You know, the emotional realm it's like the air, it's like a pendulum, it can go anywhere. And the moment the well being of your emotions has a breakdown, it's like a pack of cards, everything falls down and it can cause havoc in your life. So, emotional regulation and emotional balance is absolutely urgent and necessary. Thank you.
Deepa,
Now, next, yeah,
we have a question from the audience.
yeah,
The question is, what are some of the strategies of breaking these interferences?
What are some other strategies? Okay, so let's probably I'll share. I go back to the body. Okay, and I'll tell you the strategy. The strategy is inbuilt in that statement. I feel rested after a full night's sleep. Now, here the strategy is to really go back and look at your sleep routine. Am I paying attention to how many hours of sleep I need? And when do I go to sleep and when do I wake up? After I sleep and I wake up, do I have a routine? Which means, and when you say for the body, a fitness routine will be, go for a walk? Do I go to the gym? Do I do some kind of a fitness? Do I have a regime or not? That's the strategy. And then, do I make healthy food choices? Am I really cautious of what I eat, or I just eat frozen food? I just eat whatever I want. Or am I making healthy choices? Am I making choices as per my body type? What is suiting me? So it means that, am I being aware of what suits me? Am I being aware that my body, my right shoulder is paining today? Let me understand why and what's happening. So paying attention to the body, paying attention to, okay, I may say that uh, I feel positive about how my body looks and functions. Let's say I don't feel positive about my body. Maybe that in your childhood somebody would have shamed you. So maybe working with a therapist would be great in that case. Going to a mental health professional or a coach or a life coach and working with them, saying that I am not feeling good about my body, and saying this is what it is. I cannot change my body. It is what it is. So can I work with accepting it? And can I move on so that I'm not staying with a negative impact, so that my well-being is not compromised? So this is for the body. Did I answer your question? Okay. What do you do when you are an emotional being and little things affect your mental health? Yes. It's a great question. So, when you know that little things affect you, the question to ask yourself is that, is it working for you? If it is not working for you, then it is distress. And you will go to the unhealthy zone very soon. You may be already in the unhealthy zone. So the way to handle this is to seek help from a mental health professional, and to really work through what's making you feel so weak and vulnerable in your emotion. Maybe you have a belief that you need to say yes to everybody. Maybe there is trauma from your childhood, which is what I realized when I was working. That I have so much trauma from my childhood that I had not processed it. And it took me 10 years of working with a therapist to really understand and uncover the trauma and work on it. And I have been an empath all my life. Small things used to affect me. Anything anybody says, I would cry. From there to feeling very very balanced today, it has been working a journey working with a therapist. And because I know that I love myself so much, I prioritize myself, and my mental health is much more important. If I say yes to somebody else, I'm saying no to myself. And if I say no to myself, then I'm just paying lip service to me loving myself. So that's what I discovered, and that's what I would invite you to do it also. Yeah. Because if you're aware of your emotions every minute, you will know what's the trend. For me, I became aware that most of the times I would be either in guilt, in shame, in fear, or in self doubt. These were my four emotions. So I invite you to look at what are your top emotional patterns that you almost every day experience. Okay. Now, if it is guilt or shame, these two emotions are the worst to have. Yeah. And it's very very important and urgent for you to work with a mental health professional and to really process that. Where is this coming from? Now, guilt is normally given by others, but shame is experienced inside, and shame is experienced in the core of your being. If you're experiencing shame all the time, some amount of shame is good. If you're experiencing shame all the time, it is very unhealthy, and the experience of joy and happiness is impossible, because all the time you would be scared, you would be feeling ashamed. So working with a professional, and working that out is it becomes very urgent, so that you don't go to the unhealthy zone. And when we have negative emotional patterns, it just throws us out. So, and that could lead to addictive emotional behaviors, either overeating or over talking or workaholism. I had mastered that in my work times, or any addictive behaviors, any addictions for that matter, could be even weed or other things, and not judging yourself and saying why am I doing it, or shaming yourself, but it is a reaction to an emotional pattern which you're not able to deal with. So go to somebody who can help you deal with that emotion. Have I answered your question? Yeah. I'm just going forward. Please ask any question that you wish. The next is well-being of your thoughts. Now, it's said somewhere in some research I heard that there are 60,000 thoughts that we experience every day. So it's so important to really be aware of our thoughts. But normally, thoughts just pass. We're not aware. And trust me, if you have a negative thought, like for example, if the thought is, I'm going to mess up this project today. So what is the corresponding emotion you're experiencing? It can't be joy. It's fear. Or you're anxious. It's anxiety. Yeah. So with a negative thought, you will experience a negative emotion. And it's a chain. You cannot experience something else. So it's very important to cut the emotion and cut the thought pattern. So few of the parameters here is, I experience mental clarity most of the times. Now mental clarity uh, does not come when our mind is too cluttered, when we can't see the good and the bad, the appropriate now from the inappropriate now. So you need spaciousness. So giving yourself space is one of the strategy. Or the next one is, my ability to focus and concentrate is good. Engage in practices. I engaged in the practice of mandala, or observing plants, going to nature and observing. That increased my focus. I also used to reduce the number of tasks I would take up. I would overcome it and I cannot do it. So I reduced the number of tasks. So I was able to focus and complete. When I focus and complete, my trust in myself goes up, and my negative thoughts also come down. So there are lots of such small strategies that can be done. But it's a continuous pursuit. It is not a one-time affair. Yeah. I then being satisfied in your career and feeling fulfilled is very important. So really ask yourself, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Or I'm doing this for just money or some reason that I also don't know. As long as you know why you're doing your career, it's fine. So find out, why are you doing? Why is this pursuit important? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I can be in the present moment most of the times. Being in nature allows you to be completely silent and present. And it also allows you to stop and cut the negative thought patterns. Negative thought patterns lead to severe illnesses. So if somebody is recovering from an illness, and if they have negative thought patterns, the recovery slows down, because the body is not getting time to focus on the healing and the recovery. The body is continuously battling the negative thoughts and shifting the negative thoughts. And it's hard work, because the body needs rest. And the body, you need to allow your body to really do the work. That's very important. And when you take these actions, well-being of your thoughts will get restored. So, again, here, for thoughts and emotions, seeking the help of a life coach, seeking the help of a therapist, seeking the help of a mentor or anybody who you trust, who knows strategies to do it is very, very important. You know, when I see clients one on one in my coaching practice, and I see most of the leaders from organizations struggle with so many thoughts. And when I ask them about whether these thoughts are real, and when we question, there's a questioning method that I lead them through. And when I question, most of the times they are fearful thoughts. They're not rooted in reality. Now, when you're not rooted in reality, but you're spending your energy in battling those thoughts, imagine how much of energy you are losing from your precious time. And that's a big, big interference. And finally, the well-being of your purpose. Now, it's like, why is purpose? There are many of us who talk about purpose, but what does purpose do? You right now are living limited. Purpose allows you to go 30,000 feet up, uplifts you, and allows you to look from that perspective. So, for example, if you are spending time overthinking or erroneous thoughts, when you look at from the perspective of the purpose and say, why am I thinking this? You'll realize it's futile. When you ask the question, why am I doing this? You'll say, I don't know. Cut it. The way to cut it is to anchor and root in your purpose all the time. Asking yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I here? Why am I there? Why am I not there? Why am I here? All that I'm asking about purpose. So here it's about, do I feel a sense of purpose from the time I wake up till the time I sleep? Am I very, very clear and conscious? Second, am I clear of my core values? Values are those aspects of you which are so essential and so important to you that when you compromise on your values, you know, you feel like a fish taken out of water. You will actually feel restless. So if you are currently in doing something and you're feeling restless about it, maybe it's not in alignment with your core values. Freedom is a very important core value for me. And when I'm not able to get freedom, one of the reasons also of me quitting my work is I wanted the freedom to make a difference to humankind. I did not want to tie myself in making PowerPoint presentations and tie myself in meetings. I wanted to work one on one in the space of transformation with people. I wanted that freedom. So when it was not in alignment with my core values, it became very easy for me to take a decision. Similarly, you could do that. When you align yourself with your core values, it becomes very easy for you to take that decision. Next is, I operate from my core strength most of the times. Strengths are like the toolkit that you have to fulfill your purpose, to fulfill all the roles that you're leading today. Are you aware of your strengths? Are you using your strengths? Or are we compare and say somebody is better than me because we, first of all, don't know our strengths and we think they have all the strengths in life. But where am I being conscious about my strengths? When I know my strengths, there are no two people who are the same. I anchor myself in my strengths and I win the world. I win the world. I have a sense of connection, contentment. I have a sense of connection with the divine, with whatever you feel is higher than you, whatever you call it. I engage in acts of service and kindness. And why am I saying this? All the time, we are doing things for ourselves. But when you do acts of service and kindness, your heart expands, your heart opens. And that's when you realize that your real purpose, sometimes you may realize that I'm feeling, I'm fretting about things in this job, in this family, etc., etc. But actually, I have many, many big things to conquer. And that's when that sense of contentment also comes. So that's the well being of your pursuit, of your purpose. So when all these interferences are looked at, so what's the way forward actually? First is awareness. You need to be aware. You need to first be open to reflect and be curious, like being a self researcher, to really want to know what's my truth, what is my well being, What is my well-being in the body and my vitality? What's my well-being in all these aspects, you know? And then you have to acknowledge yourself. Okay, I'm an empath. I'm not all that great. I do flare up at times. Uh, I go all over. I throw tantrums. I get anger. I get angry. I throw a fit of rage. Yes, I am there. And don't resist it. It's fine where you are. Because the moment that awareness and that acceptance comes without pushing it away, because if you push it away, that means you will be coping. You will be having another coping strategy which may not be healthy for you. And you will go to the struggling zone, or you may go to the unwell zone. So the moment you push something or you resist something, you're like bottling. And the moment you're bottled, you're finished. It will come out at some point of time and it will punch you back. And that's when you land there. So without resisting, accepting it, and then look at, somebody asked me for strategies, no? Look at what strategy can I deploy to create that momentum, to make that change towards well-being, to bring the desired outcome that you want. So, simple three-pronged strategy. And when you take these three steps, first being awareness, second being acceptance. In fact, all of you showing up to this conference is also a part of the awareness process. And when somebody asks that question, you're saying that, okay, how do I shift? What's the strategy? That's about acceptance and moving to action. And when that happens, yeah, well being is yours. You will win the world. And as Victoria says, I win the world. It's not also I will. She says, I win the world. Exactly what I'm saying. You win the world. Thank you so much. And now I'm open to take any questions that you may have. Thank you. Thanks, Naveen. Thank you. Any questions? Any thoughts? Any resonances? Any feelings that you're left with as you heard me speak? Any similarities from your own experience? Any life experiences? Yeah. I'm just going to leave my connect here as you answer. I can be reached on LinkedIn, on email, and my website. Is there an optimal stage of well-being, or is it a continuous process and that can always be worked on? Excellent question. So that's the continuum, you know, of mental health and well-being. It's a well-being. I call well-being is a pursuit, just like you say, in pursuit of happiness, in pursuit of well-being. So a lot of times, sometimes I know, and life is not this way. Life goes up and down, up and down. So does well-being. And when it goes up, that means we have the resources inside to cope with that event. When it goes down, we fall low in our resources to cope with that event. So what do? We get those resources, we cope with it, and our well-being increases. So it's a continuous process of adjustment and readjustment. And sometimes we would be down, sometimes we would be up. Now, when we are down and then when we come up, it's very important again to go through this three-step cycle. Awareness, acceptance that I went through it, and what action did I take? Reflection on the action that I took. So that next time I land into the same thing, my response will be faster. I can take the same action quickly. And that's how you come to an optimal state of well being. Did I answer your question? Sorry, I'm not able to pronounce your name. How can I help employee in achieving this? So the first step is again awareness, because the employee is really not aware that they are feeling unwell. So you could first start with an awareness session from somebody. You know, you can I could come down to your organization and we could talk about what is mental health and the spectrum. Where are you? We can do some kind of a assessment to really see what are the stress levels. And then when they have in front of them their stress levels, we could run a program for them to reduce their stress levels, because it's an ongoing process. And that's how you could help the employee to really de-stress and achieve their optimal state of well-being.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Deepa, for this great session today. It was really a pleasure listening to you speak on the topic holistic well-being for a healthy workforce, especially on World Mental Health Day. Thank you very much, everyone, once again. Our next session topic is managers as coaches, and it will start shortly at 10 a.m. EST. Looking forward to see you all again for the next session. I would request you all to stay on the same screen from where you have logged in, and once the next session is broadcasted, you should be automatically in. A feedback form will pop up after this session. I would request everyone to give their feedback. Thank you.